Perfect. You will see a pop-up that we turned on the recording. Just so you know, if you're ever using Zoom, the difference between recording to the cloud and the recording to the computer is that in the cloud, it will actually allow to set up multiple recordings. So I can actually record just the slides separately, just the chat separately, just the speakers separately. But in the computer setting, I don't have as many options. So when you see our recordings, when they come back, it's us kind of going in and readjusting the videos a bit to make it as big as possible with our interpreters in there. However, it's still not as flexible in terms of our speakers and then who is spotlighted when it comes to recording when I switch the screen. So when I'm in the speaker view myself, the system records the speaker view. When I switch to the gallery view, it switches to gallery view when it records. So sometimes there's a bit of a glitch in the way we are recorded. We are trying our best to make sure it is as comfortable for you as possible, but please forgive us if it doesn't work the way we expect it to work. So now it is after 1:30. I'm going to start and welcome all of you. I want to make sure everybody can see the screen. We have our second session for the spring. And this session is actually about social media. It's one of the topics we really contemplated about. We're not sure if we should discuss it or feature it. And you would be surprised how many participants we reached out to want to involve in this session. We're not really comfortable presenting yet. They're using this technology. They are using Facebook, Instagram, and other tools. But when it comes to being invited and talking about it, we were actually hitting a bit of a wall with everybody saying, well, I'm not there yet. So just so you know, for today, we have two presenters. The first one will be, it's just starting and really learning from scratch. So over the last few years, she has been building her social media presence. Sara as well, I think you have been building and learning as well. Two different programs, two different approaches, and I hope this will give you a good chance to learn and explore all together. So with that in mind, I'm going to move on and just quickly remind you again about the viewing options in the top right corner. If you're using a computer, you're able to switch between speaker view and gallery view. Now that we are in this screen sharing mode, those will be tiny icons showing up on top of the screen that you can actually click on. So it could be a rectangle, a square, or multiple rectangles. Those are viewing options you can click on to readjust your view. Now, if you need pinning options, please let us know in the chat, message us, we will enable that. Our interpreters are co-hosts, so they should also be able to do that if that's needed for our participants, but it's something we have to enable individually for each and one of you. So it's sometimes tricky for us to catch that and make sure that we respond to your needs. So don't be shy, let us know in the chat. The agenda for today is quick. Over the last few years, we ran the sessions with you and they were much longer. We really covered a lot, but this time you really are doing an hour and a half. And hopefully through the session, you're going to learn and see how programs, in this case, Janet and Sara, are using social media in their programs. We hope to have a bit of a breakout room with you, depending how quickly we go.
If my work asks, what have you been doing? I can say.
Just a quick reminder for everyone to mute yourself, just if you're joining in and you haven't done so. We try to leave it open to you to mute and unmute, but don't forget to do that. So breakout rooms, and then at the end, we'll have a wrap up and the feedback form that we'll be asking you to fill out. And as you know, we start our sessions with the land acknowledgement. So I'm just going to read it out and pause for a second. We would like to begin by acknowledging the indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. While we meet today on a virtual platform, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we all call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improve our own understanding of local indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. All right. Again, quick reminder for everyone, mute yourself if you haven't done so yet. We know you're in the sessions, you're doing different things. So of course there will be interruptions and noises, but if you mute yourself, it just helps the session run a bit more smoothly. So now, without waiting, I'm going to introduce our presenters for today. I'm not going to do full introductions. They will be introducing themselves and telling you a bit more about themselves. But I'm really happy and excited to have Janet Oettgen here, who is a program coordinator and instructor at the Niagara West Adult Learning Center, and Sara King, who is the instructor at the Northern College. Sara, I'm going to skip the long description because it's a long title that you have, but we are really excited to have both of you here. And also we have Tracy and Guylaine actually from Alpha Plus. Tracy is helping us with the chat today, so you will see some messages from her. She will be posting the links to our slides, feedback, and other things we'll be sharing. And also we have two interpreters. We have Anna and Francine. They both will be switching their screens, so you will see them popping up as we go through the presentations. And we couldn't skip this step. I love to do this step just to give you a better idea of who we are and we are coming from. So as you know, Alpha Plus is in GTA, Toronto location. And when we have our guests coming over, we really want to show you sometimes where other programs are coming from. So the blue icon you see is actually Janet Oettgen, and Janet is in Niagara, in Beamsville, which is around 100 kilometers from us. But Sara is in a program in Moosonee, which is 852 kilometers for us, straight line on Google Maps. It's not even counting the flying or anything else. So different distances we cover. And if we ever do showcases in the future and you want to join us, please do so. We love to have different participants sharing different stories. Okay, before we start and get into the actual presentations, a quick question for you, and that we are going to do through Slido, which is a tool/extension we added to our presentation sites. If you ever want to try on your own, it allows you to ask 3 questions in each presentation you create for free, so you don't have to pay for it. And it's really nice and interactive. So hopefully this works. We tried it last time in our showcase, worked pretty well. So hopefully we are able to repeat the same process with you, and we are asking you different questions. So when I switch to the next screen, you'll be asked to go to a Slido website, slido.com, or you will be also given a QR code that you can scan with your phone. In both cases, you can put in your code in there, which is 1339492. And after you enter this code, you will be able to answer the question that's on the screen. And the question is, which social media tools or platforms do you currently use at your program? Because we know you do. You may be very picky in the tools you're using, or you may be using them all. So feel free to just respond. The answer will be popping up on the screen. We're going to get a bit of a word cloud that will give us a better idea of where we are. And as I can see, everything is popping up. That's actually telling me you are an expert in your own way in how you're using your tools. You're learning about them as you go. You're trying different things. And one thing we noticed, and I noticed when working at Alpha Plus and working on social media, that each of us can have a different approach, can have different techniques. And if we share all those together, we really can build a great community. And many of you are doing it already and have great tips that you may want to share with us today. But we needed to start somewhere. So we invited Janet and Sara to help us with that. And hopefully after the session, we will continue connecting and sharing and supporting each other. And if you are inspired, if you haven't done so yet, you can also build your social media presence as well with some of the tips that they both will be sharing with us. This is fantastic. If you look at the screen, you will see all the answers coming in. In the top right corner, I can see 25 people participated right now in this question, which is fantastic. And you can see Facebook is number 1. So it's a big one. And if you looked at the slides that we shared with you, you will see Sara is really focusing on Facebook when working with her learners and connecting with them. Janet will be using a few different tools and talking about a mix of them and how she's using them in the practice. Either too many TikToks, one or a few, which is great. That's fantastic. Some of us are trying TikTok. Some of us are not comfortable with TikTok. We did a session about that last year, so I'm glad to see that topic coming in here. But this is really great that you're using it. And I'm really happy to see that you're also still using the website and Classroom and other tools that you're trying to use to connect. So it may not be full social media in the same way, but you may still be chatting and connecting just in a bit more closed environments, which is fantastic. So thank you so much for participating. This is great, giving us a lot of ideas. If you look at the top 3 or 4, actually, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and website for connecting with your programs and learners as well. So this is fantastic. Okay, so now that we know what you're using and where you may be, your skill may be still beginner, or you may be doing it for years, but I'm sure you're here to learn something and explore some ideas and tips. So what we did is we asked Janet and Sarah a few questions, and they will go through their presentation. So they will go from the beginning to the end. We are not going to interrupt them because they will share their story and what and how they're using the tools. So Janet will go first, and then Sarah will go second. And some of the guiding questions we gave them was just to share a bit about themselves, tell us what social media platforms they're using and why they chose to use them, share examples or different tools and stories that they may have for us to explore together. And then what difference does using social media make for their program? So any tips, any resources and things that you and we all may find very helpful and useful. So I'm not going to wait, and I'm going to switch and introduce Janet to you. Janet will be the first one coming in. Janet, welcome. I'm just going to make you a screen, spotlight you, so you will be a bit more visible for us on the screen. Just give me 1 second.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. And like Monica said, I'm a beginner too, really. Okay, I used social media before coming to Niagara West 2 years ago, but only enough to make sure I knew where my kids were. Okay. In the last 2 years, I have at least built on that, right? Having my own Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn accounts. But again, I didn't use those extensively or with purpose until I got here. And there was a reason to do so. After a long career in banking and taxation, I can tell you it's never too late to learn, never at all. So if you're nervous about it, it's not as hard as it can look. All right. Can I get the next slide, please? Awesome. Thank you. So Niagara West is a small community organization. There's only 4 of us that are regular staff. We serve a fairly large geographic area, not nearly as large as Sarah's, obviously, but for a little community organization with a small staff, it's a pretty big area. We had social media accounts when I got here, but I had to get into them by signing into a former staff member's Facebook, and we had a lot of work to do to reclaim our accounts and make sure they were under our roof, so that as there's staff turnover, we actually had control of our accounts. Because once you have control, and I'll show you that a little later, you assign who is an administrator for your social media, and you make sure you keep that up to date if there's turnover of any kind. One of our first tasks, as I said, was to regain that access. One of our first meaningful programs coming back after the pandemic was an online money management program. So that program was run entirely on Zoom, and we created a Facebook event page for it. So that's one of the helpful uses for Facebook. Actually, you'll see even more of that with Sarah's, I believe. So we haven't used Facebook event pages much, but it can be an excellent tool, and we do actually intend to use it more. To gain attention and interest for an event or program, and it's also to gauge interest, right? So Facebook may not be your only determinant, but it can be helpful and is used by many groups. All right. So when I got here again, we had decisions to make. We had a limited budget. Again, we're small. And printed advertising and putting advertising in radio and so forth was rather expensive. But social media just made perfect sense. It's free. All right. And it made more sense also, considering some sites will tell you and some research will tell you 32% of the global population actually uses Facebook. And those people who don't like Facebook anymore, they think it's passé, They use the other ones, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So there's a vast number of people with lower literacy levels who they may never have used a computer, but they've got Facebook on their phones. They're carrying this with them all the time. So it is an excellent way to reach the people that we want to serve, right? To let them know that we're here. So we just thought it didn't make sense to pay when this is here. So these are the avenues we use. So Facebook, we use for just about everything. We use it for our flyers. So we'll create a flyer and we may e-blast it out to partners, out to the community, but we will also post our flyers on Facebook. We'll also share our partners' posts. We'll put up events. We'll post encouraging quotes if we see something. Shout outs to our volunteers, our employees, or to people and organizations in the community that are doing things meaningfully. Testimonials from our clients, announcements, and posts that advertise for volunteers and for board members for us. And it has been a fabulous, fabulous help in that, with a few things that you want to be cautious of. Instagram, same as above, capture a crowd who decided Facebook was no longer suitable. That my kids are in that group, actually. They're not on Facebook anymore. Maybe they didn't want me to know where they were. I'm not sure. But captured the crowd that Facebook doesn't want anymore. And we post the same things as we post on Facebook. They are connected. You can sign into them using the same IDs and password. And the file type you can post is a little more limited than what you can post on Facebook. But it's, I'll get to that actually. Twitter, we post the same items on Twitter that we do on Facebook and Instagram. However, the comments and dialogue, there's a limit to how many characters you can put on. And when you start typing, it'll turn pink when you're out of room. And LinkedIn, you could do the same thing with LinkedIn if you wanted to. LinkedIn, we utilize more for professionally oriented posts. We aim for partners who might have clients who might want to use our services. We post for, we look for community organizations as partner, government sites, and others who might be able to share as well, and that we might partner with for some of our services. So we use it a little differently, but I think you have a choice in what you might use it as. And for us, because we're only using it for posts, we may check it once a day. I just saw a question there about time. But check it daily, right? But we generally try to post once or twice a week. Other organizations who have more staff and more programs might use it more. Other programs who use it for more things might use it an awful lot more. But for us, it's not an extensive time commitment. I will also tell you, I know of organizations who use volunteers to manage their Facebook page, although I don't know that I would do that just yet. Okay. So next slide is just a sample of some of the stuff we post. And that's from our mains, like when we go into our screen, we can look at what we've posted in the past. And these are just our flyers, partners flyers, holiday greetings, Happy Mother's Day, any vacation, notices that we're going to close, upcoming local events. So because we're a community organization, it's really important that we take the time to share the things that our community partners have out there. We also shared infographics. See the LBS infographic and events that other people might want to sign up for. We did at one point, so some of the lessons we learned, we don't have time to monitor the communication in here like some people might. So we don't use Messenger much in there. Do go in and check it once in a while, but not regularly. We did try to use the job posting aspect of it in Meta. So that's the business side of Facebook. But we found once again that it kind of went farther than we might have wanted it to. We actually had a unicorn apply to be a tutor with us. And that was when we decided we maybe didn't want to use that aspect of Facebook. But once again, there are good tools in there. And if you have time to monitor them regularly, they're very good. Just not a realistic option in that area for us. We posted a community needs assessment in there, which we shared a barcode or barcode so that people could scan it and fill out a questionnaire to say whether they knew what services we had, whether they knew of us, what they thought of the services that we offered. And we did really well with that. And again, a word of caution and lesson learned. When we posted a draw on that for a $25 Tim Hortons gift card, we got responses from all over the world for that $25 gift card. And their responses weren't particularly helpful, right? So we had some managing to do to pare that down to what was actually valid responses. But still, it was a good way to get the word out and good way to get the community connected to us. Mm-hmm. You can also, the page that is up there right now, and I'll show it to you in person when I'm sharing my screen in a few minutes. This here is a planner, so you can actually schedule your posts from within Facebook. There are a number of different tools you can use to schedule posts. This is one of them, and this is the meta one. We don't use this, again, just because that would take a whole lot of time. I use a manual calendar or my Google Calendar to remind me what I'm going to post. This is an option also. There are other options such as an external program called Asana. I will put the link in the chat for you for Asana. And that is one where you can actually keep your team connected as well. And there are free options with Asana. Another one that is available, and I'll show you that briefly too, is within Canva. In Canva, you can also schedule your advertising and schedule your media. All right. Yes.
Would you mind if I just stop for a second? We have two questions, and I thought maybe we can answer them now. So the first question is, there was a laptop image. So I'm going to back to your slides. There was an app. I'm assuming it's this image here. That's from Patty. And the question was the graphic from Canva? So that's number one, question number one.
Yeah.
And the second one is, any concerns with privacy or copyright when you make posts?
There are things that are subject to copyright, even within Canva, and they do let you know if there are copyrights. So yes, there are. You have to pay attention to what you post. What I use mostly now is from within Canva, and we have the free for nonprofit, free for education Canva account, but it is the pro. So there's a lot more stuff in there that we are able to use.
And I think Sara will also cover a bit of Canva, but from my own experience with Canva, when just researching recently the copyright information, if you have a pro account, which is the nonprofit account as well, then you're allowed to use the images. And if you decide even to put the image on a t-shirt, so it was a question I was asking recently, they basically said that if you use a template, you can't. But if you customize the image, add text to it, use multiple images together, then you can. So it's a bit mixed message, but there are options. But for nonprofits, for marketing and other things, you're allowed to use the images from Canva for free. If you didn't have the pro account, so free account from Canva, basic one, it will actually tell you which images you have to purchase, and then they will charge. And keep in mind that purchase, in the past, it was $1. I don't know if it went up, but it was per use. So you can use that image only once. And then if you want to use it again, you have to pay again. So sometimes if you're a nonprofit organization, set up a pro account, and then you don't have to worry about it. But there are other platforms. Pixabay, iStock is not good, but there are other ones that we can share if that's helpful for you for images that will be free and easy to use. Sorry, Janet, go ahead.
That's okay. And I also see Donna mentioned Hootsuite is looking at that. Where did you say you can only plan 2 months in the future, Donna?
Or maybe it's the Meta that we were showing.
Oh, okay. Okay, and Meta. All right.
Oh, hi, Janet. It's one of the interpreters. Could you please spell out these new names like Hootsuite We
Oh,
don't know
that-
them offhand. Thank you.
That one is in the chat, but it's HOOT Suite. So SUITE.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right,
Okay.
moving on.
All right. So we're going to look at Canva. I think what I'm going to do is save my walkthrough to the end of my slides. Okay, if that's okay, just kind of make it a little easier. So, but for Canva, rather than create numerous slides here so that I can click and show, I'll share my screen and walk through, and I'll walk through both, some things on social media and some things on Canva.
Perfect.
Okay. And just a note about that, when I first got here and started using the social media, my executive director, Jackie, she used a lot of those previously. So she introduced me to Canva. And then I found in there the nonprofit, and we got signed up for that, and kind of the rest is history. There's just so much that we can use. And if you don't already use it, highly recommend it. I see a lot of, there were a lot of people that do. Yeah, I very highly recommend it for flyers, even if you didn't use social media, for flyers and just the wealth of material you have access to. It's fabulous. This is uncharted territory for us. There's more uncharted territory than this, but TikTok in particular, just because it is really, really rising in the amount of followers, the amount of people who use it. It might take me a while to get there, but it's not over yet, and I'm sure I'll get there eventually. We are working on our YouTube channel as well. I hadn't, until I saw that there, I hadn't thought of a YouTube channel as a social media thing, but it connected to TikTok too. I think it will be a part of our future. All right. Now, some of the tips and suggestions, and again, I'll show you in the slides to follow. Take time to grow your online community. So follow and be followed. And again, I'd take at least an hour a week to be on your sites, right? Be on your social media platforms and see who's liked your post, like them back, follow them back, within reason, right? But make sure that you take the time to do that. And I'll walk through where you do that on some of these. Search for and join suitable Facebook groups and communities that will allow you to post your information and flyers. So we belong to maybe 7 or 8 groups. And if I post something on our page, I will also share it to local pages. It could be a community group. It could be whatever. There's different ones, the region, the town, and also we belong to one called Bad Moms of Beamsville. It's a big group, and they will share our stuff. And yeah, it's really good. Ask people to share. You can use again, we talked about external and internal tools to schedule posts. Sana, I mentioned, Meta, Canva. Know your audience, plan your posts accordingly. Brevity, keep your posts and the amount of words showing up limited, something that catches their eye and can connect them with something in more detail. Too many words can sometimes somebody's just scrolling Facebook, right? You can put something that will catch their attention and a link to something with more detail, but sometimes too many words can be off-turning. Take advantage of any training opportunities like Alpha Plus, marketing training, Carrie Wakeford. I'll show you one briefly that I found in Canva today, just by chance. And if you're posting flyers and posting stuff to other people's sites, make sure you check their rules. They usually have guidelines that say what they'll accept on their Facebook pages and so forth. And tag people if it's okay with them. because if you tag, more often than not, everybody, the person you tag has on their Facebook will see that as well. So it gets more. And last but not least, have fun with it. It is fun. And the last thing in my slides that I wanted to say is that I've only just begun, and I've not ever been known to be artistic or particularly creative. But I've had a lot of fun, and I hope to continue doing so. Now, do I have time still to do a slide screen share, Monica, or am I running out here?
How much time do you think you need for the screen share?
If I talk fairly fast, I'll do what I can in 5 to 7 minutes. How's that?
Okay, I think we should be okay.
Okay.
I'm going to stop sharing my slides.
Okay.
And then as Janet is setting up, if you have more questions, I know it's kind of a quick run through how Janet is using it and the program is using it. Feel free to put the questions in our chat. We will address them either later or even after the session. We'll make sure that we answer the questions. I noted down the question about the computer image, but it is all learning, right? We're learning from each other. So if you have any other tips, some of you may be well into TikTok and actually doing a lot of that, but we are starting. So thank you, Janet, for sharing your tips with us as well. And Canva will be exciting.
No problem. I'll fly past this other stuff, but I'll look at it briefly. So in Facebook, this is just in terms of changing access. You would have to, there's an admin in there you assign who accesses your page and who has authorization to, but you can keep your page under your control. So it's not traveling with your employees who leave you. Can get awkward. Okay. Next here. Just look at the side menu. Meta Business Suite is there, so you can go to all those things that you can do business-wise, and I'll look at them briefly on the next slide. Down here is groups. This is where you would look for groups. If you can see that. Here, you would look for groups in your area. It lists the groups that you've joined. And you can search for groups. So you could put the name of, you could put literacy, you could put your town or whatever, and you would find groups that you were related to. Pages in Facebook, you can have your main page and you can have pages related to certain programs. So they are managed separately, but within the same umbrella. Meta Business Suite. So just look briefly at that. This has a whole lot of analytical tools. Now, I don't know that ours are all that impressive at this point, but if you're larger, and even if you're not larger, to kind of track how you're doing, who's looking, right? And also, again, here's the planner and where you can schedule. This one here showed all of our posts and listed the reach and the engagement and so forth. So a lot of great tools. A lot of great tools. All right. Posting to groups. Now I was just going to show you where that's done. So if you post something on your own site, so here's a post we made. Here, when you hit the share, it says, where am I going to share it to? I can share to a group, and that lists all the groups that we have joined. And I would post whatever the post was, I would post it to the ones that it was applicable to. Not everybody, right? But the ones that made sense for that post. All right. And once again, the professional dashboard and where you make all your changes. Okay, Instagram, briefly. Menu on the left is pretty straightforward, a lot less controls than there are in Facebook and a lot less places to go. Your home, here's where you would search for groups to follow, plus over on the right-hand side, it suggests groups for you, so you could choose them, all right? And really this one, especially the more groups you are connected with, the more coverage your posts will get. Explore I don't go near Explore or Reels because you could get stuck there all day, I think, with those. Messages, again, in Instagram, I don't use them. Notifications is where you would know if somebody else had liked your post or commented on your post. Create is where you create your posts, and it's very simple, right? These are just add your picture. It's step by step. Okay. Twitter looks almost the same. Okay, and I won't go into great detail. Same sort of menu on the left, same sort of process. Few different file types on here. And again, can't talk very much on Twitter. And LinkedIn. LinkedIn, once again, we use it more professionally. And for partners and so forth. But we also have an admin page and one that we create our posts on. And under My Network is where we would look for connections. And under My Network, very often under connections, it will recommend for you. So if you look, it will recommend for you people that are either in the same type of industry as you are, or same type of following and followers, sorry. It will give you lists of people who are normally followed by your type of groups. My screen is changing on me, so I'm going to jump to Canva.
Perfect. 2 more
All
minutes.
right. Okay. So I'll Canva quick. So my Canva page. This is just the home screen of Canva. I'll go over quickly the top menu. You have Design Spotlight, Business Tools, Education, Plans and Pricing. And like we said, Canva Pro is free for education and for nonprofit. And one of my favorite pieces, Learn, because they have all kinds of webinars on here that you can learn what you're doing. If you have a particular area you want to learn. On the left, you have the home page, which is where you start out. Projects, something that you're already working on or have already done. Templates, which Canva has millions of. Brand Hub was especially helpful for an organization because you can put your logos, your brand, your own logo, your brand colors, and so forth. So I've got our logo, I've got the ministry logo, I've got our building and our colors. So the colors that are in our logo, so that your team can all have access to the same things. Okay. Am I done?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, no problem. I am sorry. I would have showed
No.
you more. Oh, let me show one brief screen. So found by accident this morning in Canva, a short course, and the course is no more than half an hour if you look at the menu on the right, but social media mastery. All kinds of learning on Canva for you. All right. Thank you so much. Sorry, I went over.
No. It's not over. It's just we will fit in. We have Sara next, and then we
Yep.
will have more time to ask questions or do breakout rooms. So we'll adjust as we go.
No
But I
problem.
want to make sure that, there was a question about advertising on Meta. And I know that for Facebook, if you want to advertise, you have to pay. So you can set a budget on how much you want to pay, and Facebook will advertise accordingly. Janet, I'm not sure if you have used that feature yet.
No, it's like I said, with a limited budget, we have not. And yeah, if we needed to, we might, but I'm more liable to go with YouTube and the Google ad grants than, yeah, I aim for free stuff. So
yeah, perfect. Okay, so if you can switch back or stop sharing your screen, we will switch back to our slides. In the meantime, I can see in the chat we have some activity, and with the questions, bring them on. We will continue, but I'm going to switch and continue with Sara next. So let's just really continue. Share the screen for our next presenter, Sara. Thank you so much, Janet, for now. Don't go away. And then let's find Sarah in our screen.
Awesome. I am here.
Fantastic. You're spotlighted now, Sarah.
Awesome. So I'm super excited to be sharing what we do social media wise, which is radically different and I would say more informal than formal. So just kind of keep that in mind, is that we don't have too many policies around this, just in case you're interested. Pop any questions in the chat box. I will have a look at them. All right, Monica, let's begin.
All right, let's do this.
So a little introduction about me. A few weeks ago, I went and I did a OneNote learner file management with Alpha Plus. So some of you saw me a few weeks ago, and some of you may have seen me at College Sector Committee, which was at the start of June. I am an instructor for many things for Northern College, academic upgrading, post-secondary, and also more recently, employment services. I cover the James Bay area and have been doing so for about 12 years in various positions here and there. My favorite thing to do is innovation. I love looking and learning new things and trying things out and testing them, see if they work. If they don't, move on to the next thing. So that's where I excel. All right, Monica, we can go to the next slide.
Woohoo.
Monica at the start went and said, you guys are based, well, the majority of everybody is based down here, and we're all the way up here. So this is the James Bay, just off of Hudson Bay area. And Northern College is a Northern College. And particularly the access sites that I see are Attawapiskat, Kashechewan, Fort Albany, Moosonee, and Moose Factory. So those are the areas that I cover. They are, I would say, 99.9% of my students are Indigenous and small communities. So I really, really have to meet the needs of the community when it comes to reaching out. All right, next slide. So in this session today, I'm going to be really focusing in on connecting with learners on Messenger. Like that is the bulk of this presentation, as well as Facebook groups to connect with learners. I will only briefly talk about our marketing strategy. And the reason why is because it was already talked about with Janet. You learned a little bit about that. So I'll just briefly show you what we do. So Facebook and Messenger in our communities, I would say about 80% of community members use it. And the other 20% would be probably children too young to be able to type. It is really popular. It is the quickest, easiest way to get messages out there for events, things that are happening, bears walking around on the street. If the winter road is open between communities, like it's really just the quickest way to get out there. It is seen as an absolute staple. Before I moved to Moosonee in 2011, I knew what Facebook was. I had a Facebook account, but I'd never used the app and I never really used Facebook. So when I moved there, it was like, oh gosh, you have to be on Facebook in order to do things here. I'm like, okay. And since then, it's been an addiction ever since. It is the fastest way to get messages out. And I can reach my students faster through Messenger than I could ever do in email or phone. Next slide, Monica.
Here we go.
So, of course, that's very particular to the community that I work in. So it may not necessarily be so for your area. The issues I frequently have, which this is an all over LBS and ES issue is problems connecting with learners. Learners floating off into the distance and never being seen again. People not checking their emails frequently. For me, no fixed address. So there's no address that they physically live in. They're just going from place to place to place. Incredibly low response rates to follow-ups. That's an issue. Particularly for us, because we have our access centers in the community, they're really only there for classes and workshops, but there's not necessarily a communal space to hang out in. So what I mean is for the bigger establishments, the bigger businesses that have like staff lunchrooms or student lounges, we don't have anything like that. I'll see learners at the store. I'll see learners, collecting their mail. Like that is out and about in the community. The next thing with learners is right off the bat, if we put them onto Moodle, Blackboard, or Google Classroom, it's too formal. It's already like, hi, yes. Welcome to our program. Now you have to learn how to use Blackboard. Mm-hmm. Where if it's a little bit more informal to be using Messenger to either send material, send pictures, send explanations for class assignments, and so on. So we really ease people into those Blackboard or those LMSs that are time consuming and also take a particular skill in order to understand how to learn. All right, next slide. So this is one of my Facebook pages. And I say one because I actually have quite a few. We have one specifically for the Northern College Access Centers. We have one for the Northern College Moosonee campus, which is more of the post-secondary side. We also have an employment service Facebook page. And also a jobs in Attawapiskat page. Like we've got lots of pages here. So when it comes to managing them, it is a little bit of a technical nightmare. But that is just where we're at in this stage. So it does require us to log on to Facebook and then post what it is that we want to post. All right, next slide. So I do suggest that one of the biggest things out there is to share and get other agencies to share as well. There is in Meta, so that's the area that Janet showed us in Meta, how to, there's really intense statistics is the only way I can phrase it. You can look up how many times your things were viewed, what gender of the people who were mostly looking at it, what time most people were looking at your advertisement. Like there's so many things that you can dive into with social media stats that Meta kind of makes me feel a little bit unhappy and that it's not incredibly user friendly because of that. But I use it a little bit, but not a lot. Canva. I love this. My gosh, I've been using Canva since like 2011, 2012, since it was invented. And I've been a diehard fan ever since. It is fantastic to put all of your put your ideas for advertisement in here, rejig the colors, whatever you need to do to make them aesthetically pleasing, and then ship them out onto Facebook. I am testing the new like AI functions in Canva, which are only in their infancy. They're very, very start of AI for Canva, and it's coming out with some really interesting things. All right, next slide.
And before we move on, Sarah, I think, you are one of the examples of bigger organizations, and how long may it take to have a flyer done if it was going through different channels? Sometimes takes months. So your
Yeah.
program may already start end, and you forget about it before you actually hear back. So
Yeah,
one
that
of the
is
reasons.
that is correct. So with the college, you can be waiting for weeks for marketing to get their fingers on your posters. And then, they send you drafts and then you have to send it back. And we just found that in our particular area with our particular clients and students, that marketing wasn't fully representing our community. So we took matters into our own hands and did our own advertising for our specific James Bay area. Of course, like Northern College Haileybury, the Timmins and the Kirkland Lake campus, they still go through marketing, which is great. But for us specifically, to meet the needs and the demands of how fast we're rolling out programs in the LBS program, that's just the easiest way for us to do it. So keep an eye on this for those who are using Canva. You'll see the word magic on a few things, and magic in Canva is what they're using for the word AI. So, like I said, it is very young. It is in its infancy, but keep an eye on it. It will improve over the next few months. I have played around with Canva making PowerPoint presentations for you, and that is great. It works really, really well. I haven't had much success with getting it to do magic design just yet. All right, next slide. Okay, on to the bulk of it. Facebook Messenger. My gosh, you want to get someone to reply quickly, you message them on Facebook. That's in my experience for the community that I'm in, this is just the quickest way to reach my students. And Monica, go to the next slide. I can't remember what's next. Oh, there we go. Okay. So when I'm connecting with a student, sometimes it's like in person and sometimes it's through email, and I'll say, hey, do you use Facebook? Do you mind if we connect on there? And they go, no, okay, here's my link, blah. And I send them just a message to open up that channel. And from there, we just establish a relationship through Facebook. And I find, well, the majority of our learners are age 35 and under, and they are very, very comfortable talking to you through Facebook, more so than they would be face-to-face. And that's great. I can, for example, in Facebook Messenger, I can send them PDF documents. So this is a pre-employment training that I have for employment services. I whip it in there. They can download it and they can do whatever pre-employment training stuff I've sent them. I can send them encouragement. Hey, I got your email this morning. Good job with the certificates. Fantastic. Like I'm especially with this YJC and YJCS program, the Youth Job Connect program, where I'm dealing with like between the ages of 15 and 29. This is the faster way of getting things done rather than them sifting through their emails, because maybe young people aren't great at organizing their email system. So what is one person is spam, the other person might not think it's spam, or it might go into the junk box. So this is just really the easiest way. Next slide. Follow-ups. Yay. Everyone has to do these. In the LBS program, yep, 3, 6, 12 months, and even more so in employment services, Sam. We can make it a lot easier by just sending out Google Forms through here. Hey, haven't seen you in a little while. Like to know how you're doing. Can you please fill this out? And we can get some feedback from you. This is fast. I can also see if anyone's used, well, I'm sure a lot of you have used Facebook Messenger. You can see when someone has seen it. And if they don't respond in a week, say, hey, I know that you're busy. Just take a quick 2 minutes to click on the survey, and you know that they've seen it. And then you can put them down as a lost contact because they don't want to talk to you anymore. All right, next slide. So Facebook groups. I use these a lot, and mostly it was, I don't know, maybe 2017-ish is when I started using these pretty intensely. So Janet said, do you have a Facebook group for each class? Yes, almost. If we're running a program, like a targeted training or some sort of workshop that lasts X amount of weeks, I will create a Facebook group. And this is a quick way to contact people. Also for engagement, which I will show you next. So you can see here on the side, I have a Facebook group for my Youth Job Connect. I have, like we were running some targeted training in and around Cache and Fort Albany. So we had plumbing assistant targeted training going on where they were learning some literacy basic skills, measurement, employability skills, all that lovely juicy stuff. And I just had 2 separate Facebook groups so that people could post what they were learning and celebrate. And it goes for my other things as well. Paramedic students, trade students that I've taught, Indigenous health programs, our recent personal support worker program that ran at Northern College, they all have Facebook groups. And my preference for this is for us to be able to get messages out quickly because I know the students are on it. 100%. They're not always on their emails, but they are always got their Facebook pages open. So if we switch to the next slide, Monica. These are just a few examples of how to engage the learners. Post funny things. Like in my orientations to anything, so I mostly handle the orientations to any LBS, employment services, or post-secondary programs, is I walk them through how to function on the Facebook page. I'll tell them, all right, everybody behave like adults, so we're in a professional learning environment, so make sure that you're posting appropriate things. So this student here, Norm, went and posted a funny meme. Great, go for it. I encourage it. Next slide, Monica. We also post informative things. So this here is advertising the bridging program in our personal support worker program. Then, students are encouraged to look at them and comment. So Nikki, one of our PSW graduates, was like, yeah, but look at the mountains of paperwork. And this here is like a cool way to do additional referrals that you wouldn't have in a face-to-face conversation with these students. Next slide. And this is our PSW students on placement. So they took a picture of their placement instructor in the harness and posted it up on Facebook. Fantastic. Next slide. One of our instructors who is in the Facebook group went and posted that she is there and we're having class today. And then reminders that it's March break and encouragement all along the way. It's kind of nice in Facebook groups is because you can see who's been on it. So it says seen by 9, and I know that 9 people have seen it. And if I hover over the name on our Facebook group, it will list to you what students have seen it. How are the Facebook groups monitored? In the chat box. So in our programs, we're only really dealing with less than 20 students. Like it's not a large volume, so it's very easy for us to monitor it. There are maybe 4 instructors on there, or at least college members, who could be watching out. They're members on their own Facebook pages. That is a good point as well. We all use our personal Facebook pages in our social media. And I know that can be a real sticky point for a lot of people. It is completely optional for staff to do this. But once again, staff living in the communities know that Facebook is our golden ticket into the lives of our students. So we're all okay with it. There has been one staff who said, "Now I'm not going to participate. I don't like Facebook. I don't even want to be on it. I'm not on it." So we just said, okay, you don't have to.
Mhm.
Our post delayed. Some of the Facebook groups, if we know that there's a hot cookie in there who really likes to share their opinions and what's on their mind, we will do the settings that means that it has to be moderator approved before it's posted. We don't come across this situation very much. It's maybe only happened twice where someone's, posted something inappropriate on the Facebook page.
And that could be a lesson activity as well, in a way, right? We all learn, we all make kind of some mistakes sometimes or something. So,
Yeah.
but it's allowing people to be open or feel like a community, right? By the way you're setting it up, in a way.
Yeah. If I kind of had to put a number to it, like 97% of the time, I feel very happy about everything that we do with our messaging students on Facebook and our Facebook groups, like 97% of the time. The rest of the time is, oh gosh, they're messaging me at 2 a.m. in the morning and they're having a breakdown because they can't remember what an essay is. And that stuff there is just, I'll talk to you in the morning about it. Don't worry about it until then. I don't have a burner account, not a professional account. And I think because we've left it optional for students to be on social media as a part of our group, it's an option, but it's strongly recommended that once again we don't ever really come across issues. Can we use Messenger from our organization's Facebook?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Absolutely. For me, that just becomes a big pain in my bum because of switching accounts, and I'm not big into that. But you absolutely can.
Right. I switched the slide for you, Sarah. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
So once again, Nikki being one of our more vocal of the group, so pleased for her. She was valedictorian. I just have to throw that in there. Complaining about things that are local and letting the students blow off some steam is fantastic. What a really good way to engage with students.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next page. Sharing timetables. So it's not just for posts, it's also for documents as well that you can post to the Facebook group, and you can put up their guidelines, you can put up assignments. Next slide, Monica.
Yes.
I think the next one is an example. So our instructor for PSW, she posted some videos, I'm not there. So please watch these, how to use the hydraulic lift, transfer patients, and so on and so forth. So little assignments can be posted in there. And the students know to check that. All right, next slide. Awesome. So positives and negatives. Well, the positives is that it's easy enough to set up. It depends on how you want to do it. Our version is very, very informal in comparison to Janet's. Very informal. It's easier to find info on Facebook rather than emails for the students. I don't know if that's a young person thing. For those who know what like the YJC and the YJCS program is in employment services, I am dealing with 15-year-olds right now, and I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with them. Like, they just don't respond to emails. So that's fun. This is like a new thing that I've had to deal with when doing this employment service stuff is my Facebook tricks don't work on 15-year-olds. So woohoo, I might have to open up
TikTok.
yeah, TikTok or Instagram or something. My positive is that it's super easy to get a hold of people. I'll love it for that. If I had to calculate it, the response rate increases by 70% if I'm messaging people on Facebook. It really is just more effective. Now, I do mention at the start of every orientation that I do in whatever program I'm teaching, that it is voluntary to participate. And I would say that in my years of doing this, I've only had a total of 5 students who said that they don't want to do it. Out of the, I don't know, 200, 300, only 5 say that they don't want to participate. I also feel that it gives me a more personal experience with the learner. You know, if they're struggling, they could quickly message me and they know that they can, rather than, you know, waiting until 9 a.m. the next day for me to respond to an email. They know if they have a quick question, they can shoot me a message or take a picture of their homework and send it to me, and I'll respond. Up to you about work-life balance, and if you don't respond to things after. If I have time, and I tell students at the beginning that I have a 1-year-old baby at home, and if I don't message you back, that is probably the reason why. Now, my negatives. Well, students can contact you past working hours, and this does really depend on how you feel about it. Me, I'm okay 70% of the time. Other times it's like, oh gosh, I'm going to answer them later. I've already mentioned about the participation rates. Now, the negative that I can't seem to, well, I don't think there's a way around it, is that there's duplication. If I post something to our Facebook group, I will also email it out to the students so that there's an email copy. So sometimes that duplication can be a pain, but also it gives 2 forms of contact. Now, lastly, and this has been on my to-do list for 100 years now, is a consent form. Who else has a really, really long to-do list?
And what would the consent form be for? What would you use it? How would you use it?
So it would be, our preference is to contact you through social media to help and support you as a learner. Do you wish to be contacted through Facebook Messenger?
Okay.
And I did just really have a good idea, is open up ChatGPT and get them to make a quick consent form for me. I could probably whip that out in 3 minutes. Oh gosh. All right. Next slide, if there is one. Aha. Any questions? Yay.
Lots of good questions coming in through the chat, and Sara, you and both you, Jan, you were answering them as we were going. And I just added a note that not everybody chooses to do it this way, but you could set up Facebook and Instagram to be connected. So if you post on Facebook, it automatically posts it to Instagram and vice versa. So there are some connections or simplifications, if we can call it, if you're okay with doing that. And then that may actually attract a different audience, because younger audience seems to be more responsive to images and videos rather than text. So Facebook allows us, all kinds of different versions of messaging, where Instagram, you have to have that image first, and often people will really just swipe through it, right? Same with TikTok's videos, they will be swiping through it. So it's, it may be scary to go into videos and reels and other things, but in a way, it's a beginning. And then Sara, your example with being able to really be within the community and participate in the community, customize it to your community it's sometimes different or nice to see, because we feel it's overwhelming, or we feel it has to be more official, and sometimes it doesn't have to be. And Janet, for you, your examples that you shared, as you said, it's 2 years, right? Path over 2 years as you're building, you're learning about your community, you're trying to connect with the programs, connect with the learners. So you may choose or not be there yet in terms of direct messaging with some of your clients or learners, but you will find over time that sometimes people are actually really triggered by a picture, a quote you put in or something, and they will connect with you. They will participate. They will build a relationship in a slightly different way than the regular visits or in-person sessions we may have. Any thoughts on that, Janet and Sara?
Our age group is a little different in terms of who we're reaching, but in spite of that, like our average age is much higher than yours, Sara.
Mm-hmm.
But we still reach a lot of people through Facebook, and with different skills for success programs coming up, those groups sound like actually a fabulous tool. If they really do, a really great way to get people to connect and stuff.
And I'm not sure if you saw in the chat for our session, Chloe just shared that she found Google Forms recently and started using QR codes. So again, like when we are sharing links to the forms, we could also share the graphic of the QR code, and somebody can scan that image if they're not on the phone at the same time to be able to follow the link. So then tapping on the link or scanning the image, it's all about simplifying it. And a funny thing, you will see the first slide for our session today has a QR code for the slides too, if it's easier for you to access it that way. So we're all learning. We're all trying different things. And I'm looking at the time, it's 2:40. So I really want to open it up and see if there are any other questions for our presenters. Thank you, Janet and Sara, for sharing, giving the tips and showing things. The questions are starting to come in. So let's pause for a second and see if we can answer. Attracting older people for basic tech support. Good question, Patty. Janet, any thoughts from you?
What was it? What did it say?
So the question is, aside from Facebook, any tips for attracting older people for basic tech support?
For basic tech support?
Yes. So Patty, just to clarify, is your question for participants who may volunteer and help you with the tech support, or to learn about technology or basic technology? Just if you can just clarify for us your question. To provide workshops for elders. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, the computer basics program that we run here is actually one of our staples, and most of our clients are older adults. They do range in age, but we teach a lot of seniors. Yeah, well, so do I. Even higher. We've had up to early 80s actually. So yeah.
And how do you promote, Janet, for that? Because Facebook may not be the platform they may be on at that age group.
Surprisingly, though, what Facebook does, so there's a couple things. We track them with our tax program just coming in the door, but when you put stuff on Facebook, you will find that groups that are in younger age groups will share with their parents. They will have given their parents computers or tablets or whatever, and they will say, hey, Ma, you can learn this for free. Or here, they have this program that'll help you learn how to use your computer, or that kind of thing. And Facebook is a part of that program. Some of them are using it on their phones and stuff, but they will come in here for help with that too. And the senior group actually loves our younger volunteers mentoring them. They love making appointments with a 16-year-old or a 24-year-old to just sit with them with their phone and teach them how to use social media and to use their device.
Amazing. Amazing. And Sarah, you mentioned you work with the younger group, but some of the participants you have may or may not involve their families and friends as well and share, or do some things in other platforms as well. But Facebook for you seems to be that number one.
Yeah, I would say that, well, because 80% of the community is using Facebook already, they kind of know. We have in the past advertised social media 101, social media basic classes, and those have always been really popular.
Perfect. Okay. So I know some of you are leaving. We are close to the end. We have another 15 minutes or so. Let's just do a quick check-in. I shared the Slido again on the screen. Session reflections. Could this work for you, for your program? What will be your takeaway from today? What did you learn? What did you pick up? That one tip that may be helpful for you as you're moving on after the session today. Please share it with us so that we all can see, what impact the information that Janet and Sarah shared has on you, and maybe on your program. Maybe actually you are going to pick up and start doing different things. Okay, so using messenger contact and groups, maybe something. Anybody else that wants to participate and share? A Facebook class Facebook group. That's a good idea. Not a personal account. So when you are on Facebook, when you select your Facebook page, for example, Alpha Plus Facebook page, you could have one administrator, and then you can add other staff members, even with their personal accounts. Nobody sees those for the actual managing of the site. And because the page is set up as an organization, there's a messenger tool that belongs to that organization. So I will be responding as Alpha Plus, not as Monica. I can switch that fairly quickly. So just keep that in mind if you feel that that may be a bit stressful, that your organization can be responding, not you as an individual. So it may be helpful to know that as well. Okay. Facebook groups, investigating Canva and Instagram. Fantastic. Canva is a wonder. Just to add to what Janet and Sarah were saying in terms of the AI, it's not only presentations. If you go to create a document, and there will be the magic tool as well, it will write content for you. So you can give it a few tips or questions, say, write a social media post about something, and it will create the post for you, even suggest hashtags for you. So it is pretty interesting to see how the tool can be helpful to you, not only with the graphics, but also with the text you're developing. So really worth to try as well. And then as you're writing your responses, you will see on top that 4 of you actually felt that the group would be actually a useful tool, and then Canva also a useful tool as well. So I'm glad to see that you're sharing and picking up some of the tips and suggestions here as well. And don't forget, Alpha Plus does coaching on many of those tools. So if you ever get stuck, or if you have questions, or if you need help, let us know. We will be very happy to help you out. Okay. I can see the questions and answers are still coming in, so this is great. But I hope I can still put you into the breakout rooms just for maybe 5 minutes, if that's okay with all of you. I'm going to open the breakout rooms, or do we feel like it's too much and we'll just use this Slido here? Sarah and Janet, you decide. What do you think? Do we have time for breakout rooms, or should we just stick to the Slido?
I like the Slido.
You like the Slido? Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Now, if you want to participate, if any participant who is here wants to speak up, wants to ask a question, or actually share your experience and story, maybe let's lose the time here now to do that. You can pop up the video. You can just let us know. We will share your screen or spotlight you. We will learn from you as well. But it is one of the tools, and that's being used for a while. We are just building it in. We are trying different things and learning about it as well. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm going to skip the breakout rooms. And I know you're still coming in with some of the feedback in the Slido. We will have all that saved for you to take a look at. Again, for you to go back and see what others were saying. I just wanted to show you the resources page. It's not a big page. It's just a few resources to start with. But before you leave, I wanted to point you to Community Literacy of Ontario actually had a research bulletin recently where they did success stories about using social media and marketing in LBS, and very different perspective as well. So to add to what Jana and Sarah shared today, I think that bulletin may be helpful and useful for you as well. So I really suggest that you try it out. ABC Life Literacy Canada had published 6 steps to implementing social media at your organization. Another great tool and lots of quick, simple tips that you may find helpful. And then LOX, which is the program that Janet was mentioning, that was running the marketing course recently or session recently. On their website, they have published a resource, and I'm not going to open it here, but suggest you try it out, that basically lists all of the programs that have social media accounts, what hashtags they're using, and basically read a document as a shortcut for you to be able to tag different organizations or use the hashtags that are used within their community. So I hope you will use that as a tool or reference for yourself, maybe to build something like that for yourself. You know, if I'm interacting with 10, 15 organizations within my area, what's their account name for Instagram? What is it for Facebook? So you can reference them fairly quickly as you're creating social media posts. So fantastic tool for that. And the last 2 resources, so LSC digital curriculum and then our open educational resources, there's a lot of content if you want to introduce social media to your learners. So taking it a bit further, as Sara was saying, you may need to do a bit of an overview with some of the newer participants who are just starting. They may not be comfortable with the tools yet. I really suggest you try them out and take a look. But if you have more resources, if there's something you also use and you feel it would be great for this group, for the participants, please email me, message me, share it in the chat. We will include it in the resources list. So again, we can learn from each other, we can support each other and follow each other as well. So if you go to Alpha Plus, you will see when we were sharing information about the showcase, I was tagging Janet's program, I was tagging Sarah's program. So they know we are talking about them. They could reshare if they want to, and we grow that community and connect with each other as well.
Yeah. I do have one thing that I can add. It just kind of came to my mind.
Yeah.
It is when we onboard new staff into literacy and basic skills or into the college in general, I have a social media checklist with all the links that I suggest that if a staff is using Facebook, that they click like or follow on all of these businesses so that they can stay up to date with what is going on in literacy. And this can include things that are community-based, like Moose Cree Education Authority, Moose Cree Employment and Training Unit, Anishinaabe ASCII Police Service, Northern College Training Division. And then there's stuff like ABC Life Literacy, Talk for Healing, Project Read, Community Literacy Ontario. So I have it's a 3-page document. 3-page document that has all of them on there. If you want me to show you that, I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so for everybody else, as Sara is setting up to quickly run in, and I'm going to stop sharing here, just for the sake of time. Janet also wanted to do a bit of more work with you with Canva. So we have 5 more minutes after Sara will finish. If you want to stay, Janet is willing and has a bit of time to open Canva, create a quick post and show you how quick and easy it is to download it and use it with your tools. So Sara, you go first and then Janet. And in the meantime, I'm just going to suggest Tracy posted our feedback forms for the rest of the session. So if you have a bit of time, please give us the feedback afterwards or as you're watching what Sara and Janet are doing as well. Okay. Thank you all for coming, and let's still do a few more things.
Yeah. So just this is what the document looks like. Very basic. It has name, the area that it covers, and then the web link to the Facebook page. So all of these are Facebook pages. And then it goes from the very specific local things all the way to the more broader all of Ontario things. And so I suggest that each staff member follows these people on Facebook so that they can share information and also share with the learners. Look, there's Alpha Plus right there, Monica.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great tip too, because we sometimes I focus more on hashtags and account names, but you're actually watching and monitoring other programs as well and being mindful that the staff members need to know what's happening. So that's pretty neat as well. Thank you, Sara. That's fantastic. And Janet, if whoever is staying, we have 5 more minutes. We have our interpreters with us, so we can do that as well. If you want to see how Janet is going to create a quick post in Canva or design, please stay. If you don't want to, or if you have to go, don't forget about our feedback form and a quick update to let you know that we are breaking for the summer with showcases. We are going to come back in October and November. We will be communicating to you about that during the summer. If you have suggestions for the topics, let us know. Okay, thank you. Janet, go ahead.
All right. So this is just going to go through a quick post. So I would click, if I was going for a Facebook post, I'd click social media at the top. You can choose the different ones, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. There used to be one that would do all of them at once. I can't find it right now. So we're going for a Facebook post. And in there itself, you have all kinds of things to choose from. There's my brand hub. I made one today using this background because we're going to have a power outage. I changed everything but the background on it. But from this screen, right, I'm going to delete that one, but I can choose the elements over here. I can choose background, and I can change my background to any color. I can change the images. I can look for photos. And because I've got a nonprofit for free, I can say I want a photo of a computer. Somebody was asking about the computer. There are all kinds of, and I can do it in either graphics or pictures, right? There's tons of images available there. I can make that the background. I can change that picture. I got to take that girl power out of there. But I can make whatever picture I choose the background. I can add text of different sizes. I can change the font. So up at the, if I say I want this, there's tons and tons of fonts within Canva. You change the color of the font. You can add effects and timing and animate. And this is a not so pretty post, but that's the basics of it. When you would download it, when I say I was finished, so I'll say we're going to do a plain old, not so impressive and I'd put some details in there. I can change where the picture is. I got to take my little effects out. But just this, so you have the process. When you want to download, you hit share, you click download, and there are a couple of choices you can make here. You can choose what file format. So depending on what you're doing, I can build a flyer in here and I can download a PDF. If I made a presentation, I can download an MP4 here. Usually, if it's for Facebook, I go with JPG. If I want to share with some of our partners who can't print pictures, I'll go for PDF. So you choose what you want and then you download it. And it takes next to no time to download. I would then go to my Facebook page and I would share it from there. And you can post right from Canva. So Canva gives you the option right within it to post from there. I don't do that. Monica knows this. I have problems with permissions. When it tells me I'm giving them permission to change everything on my Facebook page, I get a little edgy. So I won't do that. So I download them. You could, if you're comfortable with it, post right from Canva on all of your social medias, right? So it's got a lot of flexibility. I would go to Facebook, I would go to my home page, I would share a post, and I would drag that picture. So I'm here, I want a photo, and I'm going to pull that photo out of my downloads folder. So now that's not on my Facebook page because there we go. So it's there, I hit post, and it would be a done deal. And I could do exactly the same thing with all of my other social medias. And I'm going to stop sharing now.
Ah, and this is great, Janet, because one thing I just also want to add is that if you posted it and need to make changes, Facebook allows you, and Instagram allows you to go back and edit your posts. So if you typos, forgot to tag somebody or someone, you can go back and re-edit that. Twitter, a bit trickier, doesn't let you edit. You have to kind of remove the post and repost it again. But Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, they will allow you to actually edit your posts. And as Janet was sharing, if you looked on Canva, when she was bringing in the graphics, the images and everything, there was even an option to animate. So you could have things flying in, things moving. You can create GIFs from it. So moving images, videos, a lot of things you can do and have fun with. And as they are starting or playing with it, you just get more comfortable with it and explore and find more interesting tools. And
my PowerPoint for this, I built in there and downloaded and finished in PowerPoint, right? So it just has a lot of great
amazing
stuff in there. Yeah.
And I think Sara too, actually, Sara, if I'm not mistaken, I think you also, you were telling me you use the template or design from Canva for it.
Oh, yeah.
Presentation. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So lots of different options to try. It is 3:00. I want to thank all of you for coming and participating today, for asking your questions, for letting us know how this presentation may be helping you. Love to get the feedback. So please use our feedback form to let us know anything you need to add to our resources. Please share that. We will build that page for you. So when you go back, you will have the slides, you will have the recording and extra resources that we discussed or didn't discuss, but may be useful to the group as well. And try things out. Have fun with it, as Janet said. Thank you, our interpreters also. And Janet and Sara, of course, you are amazing. Thank you for inspiring us and inspiring others on your journey with the social media.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.